We first bring you a story here at 6:30 that we've been following since noon. A man is dead after being shot by an LMPD officer in the Crescent Hill neighborhood this afternoon. It's our top story here at 6:30. I'm Alex Dieterer. Officers were called to Arterburn Avenue around 12:30 today on reports of a man that was possibly intoxicated, yelling at neighbors and breaking windows. When officers arrived on scene, they realized the man had a knife on him and then ended up stabbing one of the officers. WHAS11's Clarice Shaley and photojournalist Aspen Hester have been on the scene for hours, speaking to neighbors. They're live on the scene right now in the Crescent Hill neighborhood. Clarice, what are you learning?
Alex, this is all very shocking for neighbors. One told me they heard yelling and a pop. They say this is completely out of the ordinary from this area, and many of them were standing right here with us trying to figure out what was going on. This is as far as we could go. While LMPD was working the scene, that scene has since been taken down. But here's what we know at this time. We know officers were called out here to a possibly intoxicated man who was yelling at neighbors and breaking windows. We're told by LMPD Chief Paul Humphrey, when officers arrived, they tried to talk to the man and noticed he had a knife. They asked him to put it down, and then a struggle occurred between the man and the officers. Chief Humphrey says the man stabbed one of the officers in the chest, who was protected by the vest they were wearing. Then another officer shot the man in the head. Life-saving procedures were taken, and the man was transported to U of L Hospital, where he was pronounced dead.
While we mourn the loss of the life of this man, I'm sure he had a family that cared deeply about him. We are very, very grateful that we have officers who are out here on this holiday that we should all be spending with our family, that are willing to put their lives on the line in order to protect the community.
Now, the identity of the man who was shot has not been released at this time, and the officers involved in the incident are now on paid administrative leave. And this case is currently being investigated by LMPD's Public Integrity Unit. Live in Crescent Hill, Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 on your side.
Grace. A man is dead after suffering from a gunshot wound to his leg and later crashing into another vehicle. The shooting happened early this morning around 3:30 on Bardstown Road at the intersection of Baxter Avenue. According to officers, the man who was shot managed to get into his car and make it a short distance before crashing into another vehicle. He was taken to the hospital, where he later died from his injuries. The driver of the other vehicle was taken to the hospital and is expected to survive. Detectives are working to learn what led up to the shooting and what a possible motive could be. There are no known suspects at this time. Anyone with information regarding the case, you can call LMPD's anonymous tip line. That number is 574 LMPD. And a man is in custody after police say he shot another man multiple times in the Shawnee neighborhood. It happened on Lindell Avenue, just off Broadway, around 8 last night. According to court documents, 67-year-old James Schuler was returning home and walking towards his front door when he saw a man standing in his driveway telling him, quote, "I'm going to end you," end quote. The man allegedly reached for his waistband, but Schuler pulled out a concealed gun first and shot the man multiple times. He then placed the gun in his home and called 911. He later told police he never saw a weapon, and police shared that no weapon was recovered. Schuler also admitted he had never been threatened previously by the man. The victim was taken to U of L Hospital and is in critical condition. Today, the Kentucky Harm Reduction Coalition and voices of community activists and leaders held a joint press conference. They say the conference was to demand an end to the targeted harassment of their organizations and the unhoused individuals they serve. This week alone, both organizations have received 3 citations with fines for unkept areas on their property. They said in a statement that these citations are not only unjustified, but include photographs taken in areas outside of their leased spaces and areas they do not control, claiming they're being penalized for conditions that existed long before the organization's presence.
If we're looking for a healthy and safe Kentucky, then we would provide these spaces where people can come and get their needs met without judgment. We will do this together. I don't need our city officials to be the ones to do the work. Allow us and support us to do the work.
We have reached out to the mayor's office for a comment and have not yet heard back. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell is slightly changing his tune on President Trump's tariffs. However, he remains skeptical they will benefit Kentuckians. Kentucky's longest-serving senator made the comments earlier this week at an event in Glasgow, Kentucky. McConnell said he's never been a strong proponent of tariffs, but is hopeful President Trump's tax on foreign goods will be a success.
Put me down as not yet convinced that this is the best way to go, but we'll see. You know, maybe it'll turn out the way the president would like for it to turn out, but that's unfolding as we speak.
In the past, the former Senate leader has been critical of Trump's decision to tax foreign goods. In a social media post, McConnell called the strategy bad policy and said it would hurt working people most. Kentucky's other senator, Rand Paul, has been fighting hard against the tariffs, calling them not only bad for the economy, but bad for the Republican Party. Meanwhile, the fate of detainees being held at a detention center in Texas remains in limbo. The Supreme Court is taking emergency action this weekend to temporarily block their removal from the United States. But today, the Trump administration appealed to the court, asking it to lift the order. President Trump's border czar tells ABC News the administration is following the law.
We're using the laws on the books, the statutes on the books, to secure the border and remove significant public safety threats and national security threats to this country.
We know that multiple people have been erroneously tagged as members of this gang, but once they get to a Salvadoran prison, they may never get out for the rest of their life.
The highest court issued the ruling shortly after midnight Saturday, just hours after the ACLU filed an emergency appeal. Today, Justices Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas released their dissent, calling the order unprecedented and legally questionable relief.